I'm always getting asked the question of why I'm so into Batman. And it's so mind-boggling because I don't understand how anybody knows I like Batman. It's such a huge shocker when I actually get asked that. Like, me like Batman? Like, really? Wow.
Psst. Hey, you're wearing Batman stuff.
Why Batman? Well, just like Nintendo in my previous video, I was a very sick and bullied kid when I was younger. And I always turned to Batman because I found him to be someone I can aspire to in a way. We had a lot of the similarities, though I'm not filthy rich, which would be nice, but I've been in the loneliness aspect. Like I said, when I was younger, I was always bullied, and because of my sickness, I was always shunned as the stay away kind of guy. People would avoid me because they didn't understand my illness. And I turned to Batman, mostly Batman at the beginning because I was such a huge Batman fan. And then later on, going into the DC universe, Batman was always the first superhero that I fell in love with. Why do I like DC more than Marvel? Well, to be honest with all of you, I never liked Marvel at the beginning. I only got into the Marvel phase when they started making their first films. And I always watched, like in the 90s, I was watching the Spider-Man animated series and X-Men animated series. And as much as I like those cartoons, I was never into the universe. I didn't care about Marvel. I never read a comic book. I never bought a comic book or an action figure from Marvel. It was always Batman or DC oriented. And like I said, Batman was the first superhero that I actually went cold-hearted into. But when I did reach a certain age and I did understand that Batman was part of a bigger world, which was the DC universe, I started reading Superman, I started reading Wonder Woman. I've got so many different comic books and action figures from all the heroes. Yeah, with DC Comics, I always found DC Comics more interesting, even though that all their cities and basically it's a made-up world. And that's different from Marvel because Marvel is more focused into our world. In New York, Spider-Man lives, Daredevil lives there. But in DC world, there is no such thing as Gotham in real life. There's no such thing as Metropolis, and I really like that aspect. I always thought that a story was more interesting if it wasn't based in the real world. It has real world problems, but it's not based on the real world, right? It's, you have a different story, a different place that the story takes place in, and I love that aspect of it. And to be honest, like, I know more stories of DC than I ever will of Marvel, just because I have no interest in Marvel. Yes, I do watch all the Marvel phase films. Why do I think I like DC more than Marvel? There's one thing that really stands out on why I actually like DC more than I do Marvel, and I think the one major thing is that DC always had a sidekick. Marvel only had one sidekick, and that was Bucky, which nobody at the time really cared about Bucky. It was all about Captain America. Now it's a different story, but it was all about Captain America. But in the DC world, everybody had a sidekick. You had multiple Robins, you had Batgirl, you had Nightwing, you had Kid Flash, you had Speedy, Arsenal, you had Artemis. You had so many different sidekicks that they would go on eventually to form their own teams. I'm a huge fan of the Teen Titans series, just because Robin is one of my favorite characters. And you know, at the time when I was a kid, when you would go and play with someone, you know, either one of you was Batman or one of you was Robin. And I don't know, I always found that having a teen hero with the bigger superheroes such as Batman or Superman is that you know, they can rely on someone who's not an adult, someone who will be there to help out, even though, you know, in real life you're gonna say to yourself, well, what's this guy? You know, what's this kid? He's weak. We're gonna beat the hell out of him. Robin was a badass character. Robin still is a badass character. I don't care if it's Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, or now Damian Wayne. Robin is still one of the best comic book characters of all time, and that's why he's still around to this day. And one of the main reasons why, to me, Batman is the absolute best superhero is he doesn't have powers. He's a guy who saw his parents die in front of him when he was young, goes out to train, becomes the badass, like kick-ass fighter with the best detective skills in the world, and he doesn't need superpowers to take down the most powerful enemies. And to me, that just shows that you don't have to be superpowered to be a hero. Anybody can be a hero as long as you train yourself, or you know, have some kind of motivation such as that. And that is one of the most interesting things about Batman, is that he is, you know, he's mortal. He can die. Whether he does is up to him. All I know, he knows how to kick ass. Just ask Superman. He always gets his ass kicked. What is my favorite story of Batman? Well, there's a lot of stories I love of the Batman universe, but one of the most influential comic books to me, and it will always be, is The Dark Knight Returns. And that was created before I was born, and it took me a long time to get into the story because it was a lot more violent than anything I was used to. So my parents didn't allow me to read it until I got to a certain age. And why I love that series is that I find it so interesting, the idea of Batman, you know, growing old and, you know, him still continuing the fight against, you know, bad guys. And I really like it because it does show that, you know, even though he is the badass superhero of all time, you know, he's not immortal. He can die. He grows old. And this story is so iconic and just so amazing that, you know, it pits the greatest superheroes against each other. You got Batman, you got Superman. And the cool thing about that is that, you know, it shows that Batman can still kick ass no matter how old he is. You know, he has his armored batsuit, which is the best thing ever created in any Batman story or scenario. Armored Batman is the greatest idea ever, and him pulling out kryptonites, you know, hitting Superman with some kryptonite so he can beat the shit out of him, it's even more epic. You know, the cool thing is that this year marks the 30th anniversary of The Dark Knight Returns, and as you can see, is like on my channel, and I keep going on about it, is that in here in the studio, we are celebrating the 30th anniversary. I've been rewatching the movie, and I've been rereading the comic book series, and I'm currently into the third book, The Master Race, which is becoming so awesome. Getting more characters into it. Eventually, you know, Cara Kelly was Robin. Then she went to be Catwoman, and then now she's becoming Batgirl. And I love that because Cara Kelly still has no idea of who she wants to be in this world, and that's interesting. It's different because, you know, we had Dick Grayson, who's, you know, gone on to be Robin for so long, and eventually Nightwing, and you know that was good and all, but it's different now that in this storyline anyway, is that you know, Robin is a female, so she has those choices. She can go on to be all three if she wants, but there's something about The Dark Knight Returns that just calls me back, and this year I've been in such a Batman mode with, you know, Batman versus Superman and 30th anniversary of The Dark Knight Returns, that I don't think it's ever going to slow down for me. Like, I really do love the story. Currently, I finished my painting. If I had to choose a superhero to be other than Batman, who would I be? If I was choosing to be a superhero, superpowered hero, I would have to go with Hawkman. And one reason why I like Hawkman is not only can he fly, he's just lived forever. He is constantly being reborn into our world. Am I happy with the DC Extended Universe that's been released? Hell yes. I don't care what anybody says. The new DC Extended Universe is the best. With Batman vs. Superman, I think a lot of people would have had a different opinion if they released the director's cut to theaters. We had a lot of footage that was cut out that did not need to be cut out because it did rip half of the story out of the movie, which is a shame because it's still my third favorite movie of all time. And with Suicide Squad, we do have a director's cut coming out, which I'm very excited to see. Did I have a problem with the movie? Hell no. I thought Suicide Squad was one of the best movies of the summer. You know, a lot of people have a different opinion than I do. A lot of people were really pissed off that, you know, the Joker wasn't in the film 24/7. I'm actually very happy he wasn't. That movie was never about the Joker. That movie was about paying attention to Enchantress, which was perfect because she is one of my favorite villains of all time. And I really love how they decided not to do Joker. I know he's in the film just, you know, to get Harley back. You have that Harley-Joker relationship, which to me I like. I don't see why people have a problem with that. Why critics have a problem with the DC Extended Universe? It's something that they don't understand, in my opinion. DC has had troubles with their live-action films. We've never had a continuous universe due to, you know, the different presidents of Warner Brothers at the time. And unlike a lot of people who don't remember, Marvel had a very hard time starting up their films. And, you know, DC, yes, they're still young. We only have three movies, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and now Suicide Squad in the universe. And I think that audiences, now I see audiences, I've been to Portugal this past summer, and DC has taken over there. DC is becoming more recognizable than Marvel is overseas. And I see that eventually happening now. Girls have their own line of DC figures, you know, the DC women, which is brilliant marketing to get that audience into it. The comic book series Rebirth is brought in a whole new audience, and it's been amazing so far. And to me, you know, people just have to wait for the DC Extended Universe to get better. Well, that was episode 2 of Getting to Know Me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video because I had a great time talking about it.